Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Acumatica Distribution Edition webinar. My name is Marika Deemer, a marketing specialist here at Action Associates. Now, let me introduce you to our presenters today, Christine Jacob, our managing sales lead, and Jeff Spears, our pre-sales engineer. I'll let them tell a little bit more about themselves, and then they'll get to the content. Go ahead, guys.
Welcome. Thank you, Mars. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Really appreciate you joining us today. We're really excited about Acumatica, and hopefully by the end of today's session, you will understand why. Again, just the tip of the iceberg, but we are definitely excited to tell you more about Acumatica for sure. We're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Christine Jacob. As Mars said, I'm managing sales lead here at Action. I've been working in this industry for, we'll just say over 20 years. We don't count any more than that. And more than 10 years with Acumatica, representing Acumatica to both clients and prospects. And I'm coming up on 3 years here, almost my anniversary at Action. Jeff?
Yeah, like Christine said, I've been with Action for about a year, but prior to joining Action, I was with Acumatica for about 6+ years. And then with ERP solutions, working with finance, distribution, payroll, and a bunch of other different types of modules for over 20 years, not to get specific. Follow your lead on that, CJ.
Fantastic. Well, looking forward to Jeff's demo. We just have some great information to share with you, and then we will dive into Jeff's demo. So who is Action? It's always important to know who the heck are these people that you're talking to, right? Action is a partner. So Acumatica, we'll talk a little bit about their direct through channel market, if you will. We are a partner, so we both implement, we do discovery, full sales cycle of understanding your requirements, full implementation, including training and services, and software development, and full post-go-live support. So one of the things that we value is we've really been serving this mid-sized community for over 44 years, right? We appreciate really having earned several industry awards and recognitions for sure. However, the key thing here is that we really value what our customers think of us, but definitely have received accolades not only from Acumatica, but also from the industry. So we do focus on distribution along with other supporting industries like manufacturing and construction. In addition, we have full IT support and 2 data centers, so we can help our clients if they are still managing legacy systems. And so really what's different about Action, we really take a full comprehensive approach, right? But we try to keep it simple. We don't just provide the software, as I said, we really provide a complete solution, training, development, support. We value our partnerships out there in the community. We know that we're not going to be able to do everything for you. However, we want to make sure that we have access to expertise that you need for very niche solutions. So partnerships are really critical for us as well. One of the things that I've seen that differentiates Action is their lean implementation methodology. This process really ensures a smooth transition from your current ERP solution to Acumatica. Our goal is to reduce implementation time, we do that by really setting very clear expectations and trying to keep that project on task and use project management tools like Asana. We also establish, regular meetings. Of course, you have a regular meeting with your project manager, but we also have executive sponsor calls. So it's important that both companies, both ourselves and you as a customer, really understand that the initiative needs to be supported from the top down. So we have executive sponsor calls to make sure all our teams are in line and that the communication is working well. Project management meetings, of course, and we have a full 16-step lean step methodology that I'm happy to share with you, certainly another time. Let's talk about Acumatica, though. What is the Acumatica story here? Acumatica really is the only ERP that's created in this century and born in the cloud, right? It's very unique, modern business solutions, really designed to help address your problems and solve your problems, and address your pains. At its inception, right? They wanted to really focus on those needs of small to mid-sized businesses, and they really pursued a channel model so that they could focus on the software and investing in the functionality of the software. And then the partner channel, as I had described, that Action is part of that channel, that we would actually be the ones implementing. The third is really the modern technology really relieves some of that burden. We'll start to talk a little bit about that tech stack here in a slide or two. So it really relieves a lot of the burdens or roadblocks that you have with your existing technology. So what does that really mean when we talk about what Acumatica enables for you as a modern cloud ERP? So high availability, remote collaboration, mobility, security, and open standards. I'll review that at a high level here. So high availability with 99%, 99.5% uptime, Acumatica is really available to your users when you need them. It is cloud-based, right? So, and it also has an unlimited user model, which means unlike other ERPs, Acumatica's adoption rate is generally over 50% or higher within an organization, which means that everybody in your organization that you give access to Acumatica is capturing that relevant information. So you're doing less outside the system, more inside the system, more leads to more collaboration for sure. From a mobility standpoint, it is web agnostic or browser agnostic. Need more coffee for those words. But it also has a mobile app, right? It comes with the application. So whether you're using an Android or an Apple mobile device, right, you can access Acumatica and it would be tailored to that visual experience. From a security standpoint, Acumatica actually absolutely takes security thinks very highly, of security, and they're extremely serious about complying with regulations such as SOC compliance, GDPR. A lot of that is posted online. Happy to share that with you for sure. And the real differentiator is one of the differentiators is the open standards. So Acumatica's platform, it exposes its APIs in all of the screens, which is unique to an ERP, right? And also offers low code and no code customization, so which makes Acumatica even more robust and unique. As I mentioned this, but it's worth repeating, Acumatica has really an unlimited user license model. So what that does, it's more consumption-based, right? So you can have as many employees as you need in the system when you need them. And it's really just about transaction volume. So you don't have to worry about, I've been in this business for a minute, there are people yelling down the hallway to get out of the system. So you're taking up too many users. Those days are gone. I think most of us work remote, so probably yelling down the hallway is gone as well. So, but also just the depth of functionality, within Acumatica means that while we're talking specifically about the distribution edition, there's rich functionality in Acumatica for manufacturing, for construction and field service, right? So as you need to expand your footprint in terms of the services you offer to your customers, you don't have to change ERPs. Acumatica could have that solution for you. It is still the only cloud-based ERP that does offer both private and hosted, right? So you can host it where you need it, or it comes, which most of our clients take advantage of the hosting on Amazon Web Services. They are also the only vendor that publishes this customer bill of rights. They want to be real transparent with their customers about the pricing, subscription model, how that works. You always have access to your own data. You can take snapshots of your data. You can download your data. You could actually download a copy of Acumatica and keep it locally, right? So there's all of they are not keeping your data. You have full access to it for sure. But the entire Acumatica community really takes these Bill of Rights seriously, and they're really foundational to Acumatica's relationship with its customers. Acumatica too is consistently recognized by analysts and customers for its industry leadership, not only in product quality, but in usability and in customer satisfaction. But specifically to distribution, Acumatica Distribution Edition really takes a holistic approach to distribution business and looks at it as a platform. You're trying to balance the supply and demand of omni-channels, optimize inventory levels, streamline item creation if you're creating new items frequently. You may need an embedded warehouse management system, an embedded CRM. So all of that is with the platform. Acumatica Distribution Edition is designed to really focus on solving the problems within the distribution industry. And at the core of Acumatica, we talked a little bit about this, is really the platform. The platform's open. We talked about APIs. That's just the ability, a web-based ability to connect with other applications, which is absolutely fantastic. We understand that we always help you evaluate what functionality in Acumatica you can use. So what other applications you can sunset, and then what applications that you really want to keep, and we just simply integrate. So excited about Acumatica from a platform perspective as well. But a rich ecosystem of solution providers that integrate with Acumatica, and that we help you evaluate what's needed with your solution, if anything at all. And certainly look at what makes sense to implement phase one versus a future phase. So we definitely work with you to determine that solution that's going to meet your unique business needs. If you become an Acumatica customer, and actually even today, you can be part of a rich Acumatica community. So it's much more, it's product focused, but it's much more than that. And within that community, you have developers who help to evolve the product. You actually have customers who share their success strategies, talk about overcoming any challenges they've had with the change management, also make suggestions for future releases. Acumatica has 2 releases a year. One that was just released, 25R1, that I believe Jeff will be demonstrating out of today. And then later in the year, September, October, will be 25R2. You'll, again, join this community. It's a source of information on Acumatica. As you are a user, that community really does a great job of supporting itself. Acumatica also has an open university. So everybody learns a little differently. At Action, we actually provide training, but we want to provide additional tools so that people can learn at their own pace. So, and Acumatica definitely believes in self-directed training and also believes that it should be available without cost. So that is Acumatica's open university. It's free. It's a user-friendly learning environment. Anyone that wants to learn about Acumatica can dive right in. Again, as I said, it's a great supplement to any training that is provided by a partner, helps you be self-sufficient, of course, and is always available to you. So we love that this is out there where other ERPs may hide it behind a firewall. So with that, what are we going to demo today, Jeff? Jeff is definitely excited to see him take us on a tour of some core capabilities, but also Acumatica's distribution-based functionality. That includes order to invoice and purchase to pay. So Jeff, when you're ready, share your screen. We look forward to the demo of Acumatica Distribution Edition. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yes, thanks for having me. I'm going to go off camera for this just to preserve some bandwidth, but thank you, Christine. That was awesome. And it looks like I am indeed sharing my screen. I see that up here. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to start with, just like Christine said, some basic navigation, get you warmed up with what you're seeing here on the interface with Acumatica. and then we'll get into the sales processing and move over to purchasing after that. But what I have up on the screen first is a dashboard named after my warehouse manager. That's the role that we're showing off on this particular dashboard. Now, these dashboards are available to be assigned to users, and they are flexible. You can create these accordingly and assign those to as many users as you like, or different roles can have their own dashboards. So I'm just showing off some inventory-centric dashboards right now. And before it times out again, I just wanted to show off the mobile device. So when we were talking earlier about Acumatica being any device, anywhere, anytime, it truly is the case because like Christine said, this is my Android personal phone here. And this is the Acumatica interface on that mobile device. And so that security, the role-based security that's available inside of Acumatica will follow you from the browser to the mobile app to laptops, literally anywhere where you have Acumatica installed or that you pull it up via the browser. And along those lines, Acumatica is not browser specific. It is browser agnostic. So you bring your own browser and we're going to work with that browser. So whether you prefer Chrome or Edge, Safari, Firefox, whatever, give it a shot, it'll work. And so that's the overall message here is that Acumatica being a cloud-based application, any browser, anytime, anywhere, any device for that matter. All right, and like I said, going back to the dashboard, I am showing off the warehouse manager dashboard since this is a distribution-centric demonstration, but do know that you could have as many dashboards as you like. And in my demo atmosphere here, my demo ecosystem, I do have payroll, I have finance, and again, you can do any of these that you like, set these as your home page, assign those to the roles that need these dashboards. All right, so that's the dashboard. Over here on the far left-hand side, we call these workspaces. And the workspaces are where you lump together those items that are similar. And out of the box, you're gonna see things like those sales-oriented items or the inventory menu items all lumped in their own screens. This, again, is configurable. You can also mark items as favorites. So if I come over here to my sales module, you notice that I have the sales order marked with a star, and then that'll push that over into my favorites environment. So instead of bouncing in between one module to the next, I can just mark everything as favorites and work from my favorites workspace instead of going in and out of all those different workspaces. So a lot of flexibility in how you define and decide how you work with Acumatica. Now, one other piece here on the interface I want to make sure to go over before we get off of this screen is the search bar up here on the top. This is our universal search built directly into Acumatica. This is where you're going to search for just data, whether it's menu items, transactions, or help topics, or even files. You'll see those 4 different types of results returning here on the screen. I searched for 1099, it's just numeric. If I search for something else like case, again, you'll see search results for cases come up, including the transactions, help topics. And then even over here on the files, this is going to return the files that we've uploaded into the system. So as you take files and push them into Acumatica, assign those to different records like you see here, I have a case study that's a PDF file that was attached to a customer named ABC Studios. Well, Acumatica case study longevity became searchable in our database. And so whether it's a menu item, a transaction, a file, or a help topic, you're going to see all 4 types of results. Now let's move on to a little bit more of the functionality inside of Acumatica, specifically in the sales processing. And that's going to be over here in my sales order workspace. And before I go too far, let me go back to the dashboard. I just wanted to point out that right now, we're getting that big picture on this warehouse manager dashboard, orders that I need to ship. We see that we have 2. Down here on the bottom, I have nothing to receive. So this dashboard is interactive. And as I process a sales order and convert it into a shipment and ultimately into an invoice, you're going to see transactions and information update accordingly on that dashboard. So let's just go ahead and open up my sales order generic inquiry. And that's what our terminology is for a data view. And what's coming up here on the screen is my list of sales orders that I have in the system. And so you can think of this as almost like an ad hoc report tool. You can see a list of all of my sales orders I have in the system. You see the status as a column here. Everything's been completed. I have different dates and dollar amounts. So these little ad hoc reporting tools are flexible. So I can look for sales orders that are not completed. So if I come into my status column, just click the filter on the top, I can look for items that are, say, let's just say open, for example. And now I've limited the number of records down here to 953 versus the number we had up before. And if this is the type of a filter that you would like to have permanent in the system, all I have to do is come over and click that Save Filter button right here, and I can name that filter Open Orders, for example. Save that, and it becomes a permanent filter here in my list. Now I can still get rid of the filter, and I can add other filters, and I can do other things. So if I keep doing filters on top of filters on top of filters, let's just say, for example, I'm looking for dollar amounts that are greater than, we'll say $5,000. I did another filter inside that. Oh, that was quantity, not dollar. I hit the wrong column. There we go. Order total, is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. I clicked on the wrong column. There we go. So I'm filtering inside of a filter inside of a filter. So that's the idea, is that you can create your own reports. You can move the columns around. So you notice that customer is smack dab in the middle of this report. So if I wanted to, I can just drag the customer over here to the front. Same thing with the customer name. And now I've, again, adjusted this report more than once. And if I may have some other columns in here that I need to add to the system, and that's my little column configurator here on the far left-hand side. Maybe I want to add something like, branch. I do have multiple companies in my system and multiple branches as well. And did I click the button? I may not have clicked that, but that's the idea. I can get rid of and add columns accordingly. Let's just get rid of customer name off this list. There we go. And so again, I can move columns around. I can adjust columns. I can create filters, or I can just come back in here and reset and set it back to where it was before I touched the system. I just wanted to give you some ideas what's going on here with your ad hoc report writing tools. And then also note, you always have the ability to export to Excel. This is going to be across the system. Just about every screen where you see data, you're going to be able to do that export. All right, let's get into a specific sales order here. And of course, we're going to take this all the way from the order processing, like we said, through the shipment, create the invoice, and we'll even show you how a customer can pay this online. But this is the anatomy of a screen right here with my sales order. You're always going to have your header on top. You may think of that as your summary section, and then details down on the bottom. You can see that first tab is named details, and there's a whole bunch of other tabs down here on the bottom as well. But before I go too far, I do want to point out, Christine mentioned this, that I am using 2025 Release 1 of Acumatica. And this is the modern UI. So if this is not your first time seeing Acumatica, this might look a little different than it looked to you in the past. And that's because I am showing off the new user interface that's going to be available this year. And as part of that new interface, I have the ability here, because I am logged in as an admin of the system, that I can come in and configure my screen if I needed to. So if I wanted to get rid of some columns or get rid of some fields, move some things around, then I can click on my screen configuration here. You see these sections that show me a different data that's available here on the top. Maybe if I want to come into this section right here, and let's just say I do not need to see freight. Notice I've got a little eyeball right here. I can click that, make it non-visible, invisible, is that a better word? And it goes away. And so that's just the way I've configured the system today. Of course, I can always reset to default and change it back to where I was. But the point is that you can manipulate the screen, move some fields around, get rid of some fields, add fields, and I don't even have to be a developer to do that. And that's what the modern UI is giving us. All right, with that being said, let me just move on to some functionality here. This is my order type field. And the reason why I'm really focused on my order type is you can see I have a whole bunch of different types of orders in the system. Most of these can be a couple of these would come pre-configured in your system, but you also have the ability to create your own and define the flow as it goes from an order to a shipment to an invoice, or skipping items in between. For example, if it's a cash sale, you don't need to process the shipment. You processed it over the counter, perhaps. Here's a counter sale. Or maybe we just need to create an invoice because somebody showed up with their truck, we loaded it on the truck, and then we just need to send an invoice. So you configure the different types of orders, including a blanket order here, just to give you an example. We've got returns and transfers. Those are what we're going to use in the system, and in my demo system, that you can also configure in your system. All right, so I'm going to use a basic sales order, which is, again, you want to start with an order, then we're going to go to a shipment, finish off with an invoice, and we're going to look at payments as well. Here on my customer field, as I start making my keystrokes, the system is narrowing down, looking for those IDs and the name that matches those keystrokes. So you can think of that as predictive text. And then now I'm ready to put the details into the body of my sales order. Now I've got a lot of different ways to do that. And I'm just going to save this, make sure I keep the header portion up here on top. But first off, let's just focus here on these few item buttons right here on the bottom. And the first one is I can add items. And what this is doing is it's just looking at items that we've sold this customer in the past. How recent, like you can see here, we're looking at every item where I can say, oh, I only want to look at the items we've sold this customer since a particular date. So just helping you with your data entry. And then you can make those choices. I'm going to choose one of these, and I'm going to do the wholesale warehouse. Let me go to that wholesale warehouse right here, and then I can just add and close. So again, it's helping me with my data entry. And you can see down here on the bottom with that computer highlighted that I do have a few on hand, 336. They're also available, meaning they're not committed. So that's one way to get items into the system. Another one is this add matrix items. And the matrix items are, think of those as items that have attributes that have shared properties. And so if I have a t-shirt, for example, then I have maybe items that are different sizes, also different colors. I can have different logos. While this one only has 2 attributes, I can have as many attributes as I like. And because they're similar, I can just say, well, let me just give me a few of those and some of these, and give me some more of those. And I'm just doing my data entry real quick and say add and close, and it automatically adds those items to my detail section in the body of that sales order. There you go. And again, I can look at how many I have on hand. I have 10 of those, 30 of those. So I'm going to go below 0 if I could go too far. Just giving you some ideas again. All right, let me just start over fresh to show you another way we can get data into the system, and that is you can also have it templated, or you can copy transactions from another screen. So if I start again with a brand new transaction here, and notice I have the copy feature. So if I have another sales order, I can copy it, paste it in here. I can also pull from another order that's a template. So it's just saved. And so I'll pull that up. We already know it's for that customer and for these items. Or if I do another brand new sales order, I can also load these records from a file. And so you're going to see this little load records from file button here. Again, different places throughout Acumatica. Click the button, go and find your order. And then when it's ready, you can match up the columns for the items, the quantity. You can see those are already mapped. I wanted to make this a little quicker. And again, it's just pulling that data directly from an Excel spreadsheet. There you go. So just a lot of different ways you can get the data into Acumatica. But I'm going to go with just one item. We're just going to go back to one of the items we had just a moment ago. And that will be my laptop. And again, predictive text. I have 336 of these on hand. Notice the price is defaulting in here as $500. And we're going to sell just one of those right now. So I just wanted you to see that that price is $500. But if I also have price breaks set up in the system. So when I change the quantity to 3, our system is updating to that 475 units. So there you go. All right, so we're ready to go with this order. So I'm going to save this. And so we've locked and loaded this. We're selling this on the 24th. That's the date I'm doing this transaction. And then I'm ready to do a shipment. Now think of the shipment as instructions to the warehouse for when they need to ship it. And so we requested on 425, again, 424. There it is. And so now I'm giving instructions to my wholesale warehouse on the date that they need to sell that or to ship that item. And as that's refreshing, now let's come over here to my dashboard that we still had up on that first tab. Remember the orders to ship was 2. I'm just going to refresh this. You can set that up on a timer so it refreshes automatically, but now I have 3 items to ship. And one of those is the item that we just gave instructions for. So there we go. Our dashboards are getting updated while we're looking at the warehouse manager, the receiving clerk, the shipping clerk. They can have their own dashboards that get updated again accordingly throughout the day. So there's my item I need to ship. Down here on the bottom, we still have 336 on hand. How many have we ordered and how many did we ship? So as we're processing this, we're going to update information, perhaps things like the address. Now that did flow over from the sales order. Shipping, we do need to go out and find some rates for this. So I do have a button here to shop for rates. We already know we're putting those 3 units in a medium-sized box. We don't have to update that, but I could accordingly. But here's a new feature inside of Acumatica. Again, if you've seen demos in the past, this may be new to you. If this is your first time, welcome. But we do have a capture weight from a scale, and that is brand new with version 25R1. But the shop for rates is not new, but I can just click the button, go out and look through our vendors that are related to this transaction. This is a FedEx ground that I'm going to choose, $42.11. Might be a little delayed in my demo system here, but there we go. That's the idea. And again, back over here on the packages tab, you'll see that we have everything up to date. Now, as I'm going through and confirming this shipment, I can, again, this will be the part that updates our inventory. We're relieving the inventory of those 3 units. And like we said before, we're pulling data down from UPS or FedEx, whichever. There's my tracking number related to that transaction. And if I come back over here to my attachments, you'll see that the little paper clip here is letting us know that we have a document. Here's the label I can put on the box. And every transaction screen inside of Acumatica, as well as pretty much every line, you're always going to have those little paper clips and notes. If you need to add more information, there's my note field at the top of the transaction. There's my files at the top, and I can even do activities as I process. And then finally, we have the prepare invoice. So we did the order, we did the shipment, and now we're going to prepare invoice. Think of this as transitioning over to our finance roles. This could be an automated process that runs automatically to say after confirmation, automatically create the invoice. And so all the information related to the transaction is here. And if I scroll over, you'll see I have a large number of columns. You can, again, trim this down to whatever you need. And there's my 1425 right here on the extended price. You see up here on the header section, the freight total. I can send this through an approval workflow. I can add lines. If there's more fees that we need to add, I can click the plus, add this to the invoice, or I can go forward, release this transaction. And one of the things that's going to happen automatically with this invoice, again, focusing up here on where it's executing, right behind that little operation, you'll see that I have an activity. And there it is, number 1. And so when I clicked on the invoice, this automatically sent an email to my customer with the invoice, including a payment link that they can click on. And there's the link right here. Or if we want to see what that looks like printed to the screen, I'm printing that invoice now. It's a PDF file, and that's what they would have received. These files already have an attached QR code, as well as a link that they can click on electronically. And when they click on that link, it can take them over to a payment screen. We call this our Acumatica Payments. And They can view that transaction and notice right here, they can pay via credit card or ACH. Click the Pay Now button, enter their credit card information, or if they're paying with EFT, we can finish it off that way. So in summary, what you've seen so far is we saw the order get entered, we created the shipment, which we then moved over into an invoice, and ultimately we showed how they can pay their invoices. So think of that like a little portal environment there as well. And then back over here on my warehouse manager, if I refresh that item again, notice that orders to ship has dropped from 3 to 2. So we saw the information flow through the system. All right. Now, something else I want to mention about new items in Acumatica 25 R1, since we covered the capture, I do want to show you one more thing that was available, maybe two more things, but in my enable disable features here, I'm going to point out something, and that is, these are the modules you can turn on and off inside of Acumatica. And might be a little bit easier if I just do a search. And lot serial attributes. This was asked for by a lot of people. And for those inventory items, you saw that I had my laptop as my item. If it was lot or serialized, you do have a large number of fields that you can add to the lot or serial number for those inventory items. And so one of those features that we've made available in 25R1 is the lot serial attributes. So you can actually add your own user-defined fields to what a serial number or a lot number has available in the description of those fields. And then one more item I'd like to point out is the inventory planning. This is the distribution inventory planning module. It does have some more robust forecast features that you can take advantage of in the system. So that comes as part of your the distribution edition. But I just wanted you to know that along with replenishment, we also have inventory planning, which does some forecasting. So that's fun to play around with. All right, so we moved inventory through the sales process. We sold it, we invoiced it, and now the customer can pay. Now let's replenish some of that inventory. And if I just quickly go back and do a brand new, well, let's do it on that tab, do another sales order. This is something I failed to point out when I had the sales order up on the screen, but I'm going to do this really quick. And that is, you can associate a laptop, a sales order with a purchase order with just the click of a button. So with that item on the screen, if I scroll over far enough, you see mark for purchase order. And there we go. I can create a purchase order directly from this sales order. And we can also make it a drop ship, so it goes directly to your customer. And we can relate it back to blanket drop ships too. And when I have that marked, I can click the create purchase order button. And again, that will link the sales order and the purchase order together so that when the item is received, we know to ship it out. Or we can just go straight over to my purchases module, click for a brand new purchase order. Now this would not be related to a sales order. This is just replenishing my warehouse, my warehouse with the inventory from that purchase order. So again, same concepts here in place. We have a summary information on top, details on the bottom. If I start typing, we're going to find our vendors that match those keystrokes. And then notice right here, again, I can load records from file. I can add items. I can add matrix items, or I can just do it manually like I'm doing right now and just click the button, add some items to the inventory. And we're just going to add 10 units, for example. And we'll save that as is. Now notice this does come in on hold. I can take this off hold. I've mentioned before that I can send this through an approval workflow. Notice that I have an approve and reject button available. And down here on the bottom in the approves tab right here, approvals tab, notice my boss is Layla. Layla is now getting a text message or an email, or maybe she's just got it on her dashboard in the system to let her know that she's got a new item here to approve. So again, text message, email, whatever makes sense for you, you can turn that on. Now I am logged in as Maxwell Baker. Maxwell Baker is an admin. He can approve anything. And so I can approve that. And it even shows that it was Maxwell that did it, even though it's supposed to be Layla. And this is just based on the mapping that you've set up in the system. Layla could have also delegated the responsibility for that approval while she was out of office. Maybe she's on PTO, maybe at a conference, something like that. Somebody else needs to handle this while she's out of town. And so Maxwell Baker handled that for her. And then after we've approved this, we're ready. We're sitting back. We just need to receive that inventory. Back over here in my dashboard, I think I must have gotten off of that earlier when I did the search for something else. But there we go. We have some new items to be received. And before we do that, let's email that purchase order to my vendor. Make sure that they get it. You could print it. You can send it out old school if you wanted to. But with that button clicked, notice it updated my activities. Right there's the email that went out directly from my Acumatica with the attached PDF file. And there's the example what that PDF file looks like. Now we sit back and wait to receive that product. When it comes in, we enter our PO receipt. Now I could do this on the mobile device. I pointed that out earlier with that mobile app back in the warehouse. I've got some Android or Apple devices. I can do the receipt of that product pretty much anywhere where I have internet connectivity. Make sure to enter your quantity, quantity received, right there. If you wanted to, you can make it a two-step process and skip the third step or create the bill here on the fly. I like to do it as a three-step process. Down here on the bottom, note that you see how much you have on hand. When I release this transaction, it updates my inventory. And then finally, when I'm finished with the receipt process, that's when I'm going to enter my AP bill. And there you see the button for that. Again, this would be more of a function for finance. So we've got a purchasing team who did the purchase. We had our warehouse who did the receiving. The AP bill is being entered through finance. And again, take this through an approval workflow, take it off of hold, make sure my values are correct, approve, reject, if necessary, do any updates. Oh, I forgot the vendor reference number. It's making sure I'm going to reject that because of that. Put it back on hold. But that's the idea, is once you have the information in the system, you can process accordingly. So that was our three-step process: purchasing, receipt, invoice. Approve, reject, and then ultimately you would pay the bill. And when I release, it updates the general ledger. We can run our finances off of what was generated. All right. I believe that fills in our time. So I'm going to stop sharing and go back on camera with Christine and see if we have any questions.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jeff. That was fantastic. Mars?
Yeah, sure. So I second that. It was a fantastic presentation from both of you guys. As they're saying, we're going to move into the Q&A feature. So if you have any, please fill those into the Q&A function, and then we'll get to them. In the meantime, if you are hopping off, please fill out that survey for us, just to let us know how we did. I'm gonna show the first question for us. Maybe, if it likes me.
The Moody system.
Yes. We have multiple companies. Does Acumatica support intercompany transactions?
It does. Absolutely. Yep. And you could do that through your finance side of the transactions or your distribution arm's length transactions. Christine, do you have a better way of putting that?
No, I think that's perfect, Jeff. Where let's say an AR invoice can become an AP bill from one company to the next. So it's pretty fantastic, that functionality, for sure. Good question.
Right on.
Nice. Second question. Can Acumatica support barcode scanning?
Totally. Those barcodes can be assigned at the inventory level. And then when we're doing the receiving or put away, we can scan those items, take advantage of some of our WMS solutions. But if you do have your Android devices, you can even take advantage of the camera on the back of your phone to take pictures of those barcodes and receive and put away. Just depends on how far you want to go with it. But the answer is absolutely yes.
Awesome.
Right.
Couple more. I sell through Amazon. Does Acumatica have an Amazon connector?
Totally. Yeah. Amazon, as well as Shopify and BigCommerce and other connectors too.
Nice. Okay, and last one for right now, but doesn't mean it has to be the last one in totality. If you have any questions that are follow-ups on these, please fill those in. Are there any AP automation tools in Acumatica?
There are, yeah.
Jeff, do you want me to take this one?
Go for it. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so we are excited about some of the new features with Acumatica's AP automation tools. It's always been a tool for distribution, and now it's also for distributors who may work in terms of projects or do some special billing for their customers on the B2B side, but now does work with projects and tasks. So that's exciting. And there are also additional solutions out there. You know, AvidXchange is a great partner of ours. Trailed is another one. There are a number of AP solutions that are in the marketplace. We really want to help you evaluate what's the best one, and that lines up with your need and your budget, for sure.
Wonderful. I don't see any more questions coming in. I want to thank Christine and Jeff again for presenting to us, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.